June 15, 1944, near Cairnton, Normandy. A thin veil of morning fog clings to the hedgerows as the sun creeps over the ruins of a French farmhouse. The fields are still too still, and then from somewhere above the mist comes a sound so soft it barely disturbs the air. A gentle put-put-put, not the roar of a fighter, not the growl of a dive bomber, just a whisper, almost like a lawnmower in the sky. Captain Charles Charlie Carpenter squints upward from his camouflaged observation post. There it is, floating, wobbling slightly, almost ridiculous in its fragility, the Piper L-4 Grasshopper. Fabric skin, tiny engine, 2 seats, and no guns. Nothing about it looks like war. But down below, tucked behind a tangle of trees and barns, 3 German Panzer IVs are rumbling forward, unaware they've just become prey. Inside the cockpit, Lieutenant Claire B., CB, Steinbrook, an artillery observer, leans over his map board. His goggles fog briefly as he whispers into the radio clipped to his jacket. Red Leg 6, this is Grasshopper. I've got armor moving in the bocage. Stand by for correction. His pilot, a 21-year-old farm kid named Owen "Red" Reynolds, nudges the rudder pedals with boots still stained from the previous day's mud. He doesn't look like a war hero. He looks like the kind of kid who'd fix tractors and drink milk straight from the barn. But his hands are steady. Below them, German infantry glance up briefly. One of them laughs, pointing. Look at this little toy. This American circus airplane. They don't even bother firing. After all, what threat could a flying jeep possibly pose? The Grasshopper circles lazily, wings catching the first rays of light as if it were out for a morning stroll. But inside, the tension is razor sharp. Steinbrook peers through his binoculars, adjusting his position. You see them? Reynolds asks quietly. I see them, Steinbrook mutters. Artillery range locked. He keys the radio again. Fire mission. 10 miles away, hidden in the tree line, the barrels of American 155 howitzers begin to elevate. The German tank commanders still have no idea. They think the little plane is scouting, maybe taking photos, nothing more. They don't know that within seconds, steel arcs of high explosive death will begin descending from a position they cannot detect, at a range they cannot counter, guided by a plane they dismissed as a joke. You can almost feel the shift in the wind, a whisper turning into a warning. Steinbrook raises his voice. Shot out, the howitzers answer. A distant thunder rolls across the fields. Reynolds banks slightly to the right so Steinbrook can watch the impact. The Grasshopper trembles gently in the airflow, light as a leaf. German tankers still laugh, still gesture, still treat it like a harmless fly. Then the earth erupts. A geyser of dirt swallows the lead panzer. The commander inside doesn't even have time to shout. The other crews panic, frantically reversing, trying to scatter between the hedgerows. Reynolds hears their engines rev. Steinbrook sees the chaos. And for the first time that morning, the Germans look up and realize this toy plane is hunting them. Reynolds circles again. Steinbrook fires off corrections. Add 50, write 100, fire for effect. The German laughter is gone. Now there is only fear. The second barrage is already in the air, screaming toward them, but the tank crews still don't know where to run. The hedgerows trap them like cages. The Grasshopper dips lower, its shadow briefly flickering over the fleeing figures. Steinbrook's voice tightens. They know we're here. Reynolds gives a thin, grim smile. Too late for them. The second barrage is seconds away. The horizon trembles. And when the shells land, the battlefield will be changed forever. Because today, in this quiet Normandy morning, the German army is about to learn a brutal truth. Sometimes the deadliest weapon is the one you never take seriously. The shells whistle in. The first shells smash into the hedgerow like a hammer dropped from heaven. Flashes tear through the mist. The ground recoils. The second panzer disappears behind a pillar of blackened smoke, its turret catapulted upward like a kicked tin can. German infantry dive into ditches, screaming for cover, scrambling like ants struck by boiling water. In the cockpit of the L-4 Grasshopper, Reynolds keeps his hands steady on the stick. The little aircraft shudders with every distant explosion, its thin fabric skin vibrating like the wing of a terrified bird. Yet he holds his altitude, barely 800 feet, far lower than any sane pilot should be flying above active armor. Steinbrook wipes the fog from his goggles, leaning out just enough to watch the blast pattern. Impact on target, he whispers. Bring the rain, he radios back. Red Leg 6, fire for effect all batteries. The reply crackles in his headset. Copy. Batteries firing. You can almost feel the air change. It thickens, grows charged, like the moment before a storm rips open the sky. The German tankers know now. They know exactly what's happening. The harmless little toy plane is not scouting, it's steering death. One surviving Panzer IV roars forward, smashing through a gate, trying to use a barn as cover. The tank commander's face is pale beneath soot and sweat. He looks up again, this time not mocking, but terrified at the circling Grasshopper. He shouts at his machine gunner to fire. A burst of 7.92 tracers streaks upward. Reynolds jerks the stick. The Grasshopper rolls left slow but just fast enough. Tracers whip past the tail, slicing the air where they had hovered seconds before. "Now they're shooting at us," Reynolds mutters. Stainbrook doesn't flinch. "We expected this." He peers through his binoculars again. "Artillery's close, one more adjustment." He presses the radio. "Left 250, drop 25. Repeat, drop 25. Reynolds banks the fragile aircraft into a turn, exposed, vulnerable, practically begging every German rifleman in Normandy to take a shot. Down below, rifle cracks join the machine gun fire. Bullets stitch the air like angry hornets. The L-4 isn't armored, it isn't fast. A single lucky hit could tear through the fuel tank or either man's chest, and still they stay in position, because if the Grasshopper leaves, the tank escapes. And if the tank escapes, American infantry die. Reynolds grits his teeth, leveling out. "Hold steady," he mutters to himself. "Just hold." The German tank commander points directly at them, shouting, ordering the gunners to track the circling plane, but it's too late. A distant boom echoes. The artillery barrage is already airborne. Stainbrook presses his headset tight. "Shot out!" He scans the ground again, breath caught in his throat. The Panzer tries to sprint, metal grinding, gears whining, desperate to outrun what's coming. It won't. The shells descend through the low clouds like falling stars. The impact hits so violently it feels like the sky itself slams into the earth. The barn evaporates in a storm of splinters. The Panzer flips halfway onto its side, tracks blasted off, hatches blowing open as fire crawls into the steel coffin. Reynolds exhales. "Target destroyed," Stainbrook radios calmly. Silence settles over the hedgerows. Smoke drifts like ghosts along the French countryside. The only sound remaining is the gentle, almost innocent hum of the Grasshopper engine. But amid that silence, a new realization settles over the battlefield. The L-4 Grasshopper isn't an observer, it's a hunter. And the Germans have no idea how to kill it. Reynolds circles wider, scanning for movement. "There'll be more," he says quietly. Stainbrook nods, lowering his binoculars. "Oh, there will be," he answers. "And they won't laugh this time." Because this was only one engagement. A single morning in Normandy. What came next across France, Italy, and beyond would transform the tiny Piper L-4 into something the Germans would fear more than most bombers, a ghost in the sky, a whisper of death, a plane that didn't need guns to destroy armor, and the Wehrmacht was about to learn its true power. 2 days later, June 17, 1944, near St. Lo. The evening sun bleeds orange across the shattered countryside, turning smoke into glowing ribbons. The fields are cratered, the tree line fractured, but the fighting hasn't slowed. In fact, it's tightening. American infantry are pinned behind a ruined stone wall, their advance stalled by a dug-in German anti-tank gun hidden somewhere beyond a maze of hedgerows. No one can see it. No one can flank it. Every attempt leaves men bleeding in the tall grass. But then a faint silhouette hums over the treetops. That sound again. The Grasshopper. Lieutenant Cowboy Wade McCown, another artillery spotter, leans forward from the rear seat of his L-4 as the plane banks lazily through the fading daylight. Below him, the battlefield looks like a patchwork of destruction. Burned-out wagons, wounded horses, scattered helmets. The world is chaos, but from up here the chaos makes sense. His pilot, Earl Dusty Murphy, chews a piece of gum as he adjusts the throttle. "Want lower?" Murphy asks. Hound shakes his head. "Let's not get holes in the wings before dinner." Down below, a squad of German soldiers seize the tiny plane and lifts their rifles, annoyed more than threatened. One mutters something under his breath, another joke about the American Spielzeugflugzeug, toy plane, but McCown spots it, the faint muzzle flash in a clump of bushes beyond the next hedgerow. The hidden PaK-40 anti-tank gun, perfectly concealed, perfectly lethal. He taps Murphy on the shoulder. "There," he says. "Armor-piercing ambush, coordinates coming up." Murphy circles again, making the slow, steady turn that every Grasshopper pilot knows is half skill and half prayer. They are an easy target. A rifle could punch through the side. A machine gun could shred them, but if they don't make this circle, American Shermans will be dead in minutes. McCown radios the artillery battery. "Fire mission, anti-tank emplacement, coordinates as follows." In seconds, the ground cannons shift. Howitzers groan as cruise ram shells into roaring steel chambers. McCown watches the hedgerow through binocular numbers etched into the lens by dust and fingerprints. You can almost feel the tension in his hands, tight, calloused, trembling only slightly. "Shot out," the battery reports. "Splash," McCown whispers. 5 seconds. The German crew doesn't even look up anymore. They've seen these little planes dip and wander overhead for days. They think it's just another scouting pass. They think they're safe. They're not. The shells arrive like thunderclaps. The earth rises. The hedgerow disintegrates. Bodies scatter. The Pak-40 vanishes in a storm of fire and splinters. Murphy smirks around his gum. One gun less to worry about. McCown isn't smiling. He's already scanning the next field, because something is happening across the front lines, something the Germans still haven't fully understood. Every Grasshopper in Normandy is multiplying American firepower by 10. A single pilot. A single observer, one tiny plane, and an entire artillery regiment suddenly becomes surgical. In the German field reports, new phrases begin to appear. Feindliche Artillerie fliegt mit kleinen Flugzeugen. Enemy artillery flies with small airplanes. Geschütze treffen ohne Sichtkontakt. Their guns strike without visual contact. The soldiers whisper another name, one that spreads through platoons like a curse. Der Lautlos Killer. The silent killer, not the howitzers, not the Shermans. The little plane, the one they can't hit, the one they can barely hear, the one that turns every hedge into a killing ground. Murphy dips a wing to avoid a column of smoke drifting upward. McCown watches the flames curl from the shattered tree line. He whispers under his breath, "They're finally starting to fear us." And they are, because rumors have begun to circulate. Stories of grasshoppers spotting ambushes, directing naval bombardments, crippling armored pushes before they even reach the front. But the most terrifying German rumor, whispered from foxhole to foxhole, is still to come. One American pilot has reportedly turned his flying jeep into a tank-killing weapon all on its own. A legend, a ghost, a man the Germans will soon learn to fear by name. Captain Charles Bazooka Charlie Carpenter. And what he does next will change the reputation of the Grasshopper forever. September 20th, 1944, near Aracourt, France. The sky is a washed-out gray, the kind that makes the world feel tired. Below it, the battlefield swells with steel, columns of German Panzer IVs and Panther tanks grinding across the French countryside in one of the last major armored offensives against Patton's Third Army. But high above them, wobbling on wings barely thicker than canvas, is a sight no one, friend or foe, expects to see. A Piper L-4 Grasshopper, but not like the others. This one has 6M1A1 bazookas strapped to its wing struts, 3 on each side, their tubes angled downward like improvised fangs. The added weight makes the little aircraft tremble. The airflow whistles around them in a way that feels almost unnatural. Inside the cockpit sits Captain Charles Bazooka Charlie Carpenter, a wiry man with sharp eyes and a grin that has unsettled more than one superior officer. Sweat stains his flight jacket. Grease streaks his sleeve. He looks less like a pilot and more like a mechanic who decided he'd rather take the fight personally. He nudges the throttle forward. His co-pilot seat is empty. He flies alone. It's better this way, less weight, more speed. Below him, the Germans march with confidence. American ground units have been pushed back. Patton's lines are thin, and the weather, overcast, humid, murky, is perfect for armored assault, but not perfect enough to hide from Charlie. He dips his wings, scans the fields. There, 2 Panthers breaking off from the column, maneuvering toward a flank. He mutters to himself, "You'll do." The Grasshopper descends, slicing through the low clouds. German infantry look up, confused. This isn't a fighter. It's not even armed. At least they think it's not. One soldier points, laughing, "Spielzug, toy." Charlie flips his safety covers open. "Let's ruin someone's day." He angles the plane downward, closing the distance fast. The bazookas aren't accurate beyond a couple hundred yards. And they have no guidance. He has to get close, dangerously close, to make them count. The German tank commander in the lead Panther climbs halfway out of his hatch, scanning the sky. He sees the Grasshopper. He laughs. Then Charlie fires. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 streaks of white smoke arc from the left wing strut. 2 miss. 1 doesn't. The rocket slams into the Panther's engine deck in a burst of sparks and fire. Smoke erupts. The tank screeches to a halt, the crew bailing out in a panic. Charlie pulls up hard, feeling the engine rattle, feeling the wings flex. He circles around again. German infantry scramble for cover. Machine guns tilt skyward. Tracers climb toward him like furious fireflies. He ignores them. He's not done. The second Panther tries to reverse, turning its armor toward him, trying to make itself a harder target. Charlie dives again, teeth clenched, wind screaming past the cockpit. "Hold, hold!" He fires the remaining 3 bazookas. 2 rockets strike the ground. The last one punches into the turret ring. A flash, a bang. The Panther's turret jolts sideways as flames lick out from its seams. Charlie peels away, his little plane shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. Down below, American infantry who had been preparing to retreat stare upward in disbelief. A Grasshopper, a scout plane, just destroyed 2 German Panthers. Word spreads like wildfire across the front. Bazooka Charlie got another one. Did you hear? He's strapping rockets to his cub. The Germans don't know what to do. Within days, German troops begin shooting at every Grasshopper they see, even the unarmed ones. Panic spreads through armored units who suddenly fear the faint buzz of an L-4 engine because they can't tell which is which, because any Grasshopper might be his Grasshopper. Charlie lands in a field near an American command post. Mechanics rush to him, shouting, "Sir, those bazookas aren't meant for aircraft. You'll get yourself killed out there." "You can't keep diving at tanks like that." Charlie cuts the engine, steps out, wipes the oil from his goggles, and grins. "Boys, when you see a Panther, you don't wait for permission to kill it." Behind him, his Grasshopper sits quietly. Its wings flutter in the breeze, its engine ticks as it cools. It still looks harmless, fragile, laughable. But the Germans aren't laughing anymore, because Bazooka Charlie is just the beginning. Across France and Italy, every L-4 Grasshopper is rewriting the rules of warfare, turning artillery into a scalpel, turning air support into a whispering ghost, turning the smallest plane into the most feared spotter in Europe. And soon the Germans will try everything to shoot them down. What happens next is a battle not of firepower, but of nerves. October 3rd, 1944, Vosges Forest, eastern France. A cold mist clings to the treetops like a curtain of breath, muffling sound, swallowing shapes. The forest feels haunted, silent, wet, watching, and deep within it the German army is preparing something new, a trap. For weeks, German commanders have watched their armored columns vanish under American artillery fire. They whisper the same question in every briefing. How do the Americans see us before we see them? The answer is always the same. Die Kleinen Flugzeuge, the little planes, grasshoppers. The Germans have tried small arms fire. They've tried machine guns. They've tried camouflaging tanks beneath barns, tarps, haystacks. Nothing works for long because the American pilots adapt. They fly lower. They fly faster. They use tree lines, cloud cover, even smoke from the battlefield to mask their approach. So the Germans prepare something different today. A Flak-Vierling 38, a quadruple 20 anti-aircraft cannon, hidden under a camouflage net so expertly draped it could fool the devil himself. And they wait. At 08:12 hours they hear it, that soft, almost innocent hum threading through the mist. Put, put, put. The Grasshopper, Lieutenant Frank Henshaw and his pilot James Mac McGreddy emerge through the low clouds like ghosts on a morning stroll. The wings glisten with moisture. The engine sputters slightly in the cold. They are flying low, dangerously low, searching for artillery positions the Germans are suspected of hiding in the forest. McGreddy glances down. "Visibility is garbage today," he mutters. Henshaw adjusts his binoculars. "We just need one opening." Below, a German officer whispers, "Hold fire, not yet." The Grasshopper creeps closer, engine echoing off the wet bark. It's almost absurd, this flimsy canvas plane, unprotected, unarmed, drifting straight into the jaws of a weapon designed to vaporize aircraft 10 times its size. McGreddy banks left. Henshaw squints into the fog. And then a glint, metal glint. He inhales sharply. "Flak, 12 o'clock low." But he says it a heartbeat too late. The forest erupts. BRRRRRRRRRRT. 4 barrels spew fire. 20mm tracers rip upward, orange and furious, slicing the air around the Grasshopper. McGreddy yanks the stick. The L4 lurches, canvas snaps. A tracer punches through the tail, ripping a hole as long as a man's forearm. Henshaw clings to the frame. "You keep this thing flying, Mac. Working on it." German gunners adjust, swinging the cannon, stitching the air with lines of fire. The Grasshopper darts through the mist, fragile wings trembling under the strain. A shot grazes the prop. Another tears a fabric panel clean off. The little plane begins to sag, but then something strange happens. The fog thickens. A cloud bank dips suddenly, swallowing the plane whole. The tracers vanish. The German gunners stare upward, frustrated. How can a plane so slow just disappear? Henshaw wipes condensation from his goggles, trembling. That was too damn close. But he doesn't stop working. He presses the radio. "Red leg enemy flak battery coordinates transmitted. Fire for effect." McGreddy stares at him incredulously. "You're calling artillery on the guys who almost turned us into confetti?" Henshaw grins. "Exactly." Minutes later, American artillery cracks through the woods. Shells crash down on the camouflaged position. The Flak-Vierling cartwheels into splinters, the forest swallowing the flames. McGreddy lets out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "Still think this thing is a toy plane?" he asks. Henshaw pats the thin metal frame beside him. "This toy just saved our lives. And they're not the only ones. Across Italy and France, Grasshoppers survive encounters that should have killed them 10 times over. They fly with bullet holes, shredded wings, frayed control lines. Pilots land them in vineyards, pastures, cow fields, even on roads still smoking from battle. And every time they take off again, every time their soft engine hum rises over the front, German troops tense. Because sometimes a Grasshopper brings artillery. Sometimes it brings rockets, but it always brings death. And the Germans begin to realize something devastating. If they don't silence these planes, nothing they do on the ground matters. So Berlin orders a new directive, a desperate one. The Luftwaffe must intervene. even if it means pulling fighters off critical missions, even if it means hunting the smallest, least valuable aircraft in the sky, because the L-4 Grasshopper has become the most dangerous nuisance in Europe. And soon the skies will ignite. October 28, 1944, near Nancy, France. The late afternoon sky is bruised purple, the kind of color that warns pilots to head home before darkness swallows the horizon. But Lieutenant Eddie Marshall and his pilot Roy "Birdman" Phillips are still in the air, circling above the Meuse River, tracking German troop movements slipping through the fading light. Their Grasshopper hums steadily, engine coughing now and then like an old man clearing his throat. Bullet patches stitched across the fuselage flap softly in the wind. The plane looks tired. So do the men inside it, but artillery needs eyes, and today those eyes are theirs. Phillips glances rearward. "We've been up too long," he mutters. "Weather's turning and the Luftwaffe's been sniffing around." Marshall scans the riverbank. "One more circuit," he insists. "I want to confirm that crossing." Phillips doesn't argue, but his gut twists. The Luftwaffe has returned, desperate, thin, stretched, but still deadly. Rumors have been circling among Grasshopper pilots. German fighters are now hunting L-4s on sight. At first, nobody believed it. Why waste a Messerschmitt on a plywood kite? But then came the first confirmed kill. Then another. Then one Grasshopper found shredded in the woods, its crew buried under pine needles in silence. So today, every L-4 pilot flies with a new awareness. The sky, once their safety, is now their most dangerous enemy. Phillips banks left, following the river bend. That's when he hears it, a distant roar, low, fast, predatory. His blood turns cold. "Oh no," he whispers. Marshall hears it too. That's not artillery, not a truck, not wind, a fighter engine, climbing, closing. Marshall cranes his neck, scanning the sky, and then he sees it. A Messerschmitt Bf-109 slicing through the clouds like a silver dagger. Sunlight glints off its wings. Its nose dips. Its shadow streaks across the treetops below. Phillips' voice cracks. "He's coming straight at us." There is no time, no altitude, no speed. The Grasshopper is a floating leaf and the 109 is a hurricane. Phillips shoves the stick forward. The Grasshopper drops violently, wind slamming against its frame. Marshall grips the door frame, shouting, "Dive into the trees, trees now." Phillips doesn't hesitate. The Grasshopper plunges toward the forest canopy, so close the leaves blur beneath them. Branches scrape the landing gear. The air becomes a tunnel of green shadows and panic. The German pilot follows, nose down, closing fast. He squeezes the trigger. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat, tracers rake the air above the Grasshopper, missing by inches. The 109 screams past, banking hard, kicking up a spray of leaves with its wingtip. Phillips yells, "Hold on," and yanks the stick, weaving between trunks like a dragonfly dodging raindrops. It's insane, it's suicidal, but it's their only chance. Up above, the German pilot climbs again, preparing another dive, but this time he hesitates. The Grasshopper is too low, too unpredictable, too insane to chase between the trees. Marshall, panting, watches the 109 circle. He's not giving up. "Neither are we," Phillips snaps. The Grasshopper skims the canopy, following a narrow gap between branches like a path only birds should take. Every gust threatens to flip them. Every trunk is a death sentence waiting inches away. The Messerschmitt makes another pass, but the angle is wrong. The trees are too dense. The shot is impossible. Frustrated, the German pilot fires blindly into the forest, bullets ripping bark and leaves but missing the wavering plane beneath. Then he breaks off, climbing sharply into the clouds, unwilling to risk his wings in the wooden maze. Silence returns, only the rustle of leaves brushing the L-4's wheels. Marshall finally exhales. "That was too close." Phillips' hands tremble on the stick. "That's the Luftwaffe now," he mutters. "No more laughing at toy planes," and he's right. German pilots increasingly file frustrated combat reports. American artillery planes hide in forests, cannot engage safely. Low altitude makes interception impossible. Enemy observers vanish beneath the trees like insects. The Grasshopper, once dismissed as a joke, has become the Luftwaffe's nightmare. Too slow to target, too low to chase, too nimble to predict. And every failed interception means another German unit will soon be obliterated by American artillery guided from above. As Phillips rights the Grasshopper and turns toward friendly lines, the clouds drift apart, revealing a pale sliver of sunset. Marshall leans back, breath still shaking. "Think the German pilot will report that?" he asks. Phillips smirks. "Oh, he'll report something, probably that he just lost a duel to a lawnmower." But deep down, both men know the truth. This wasn't just survival, it was a sign. The Germans are running out of answers, and soon the tiny L-4 Grasshopper will help deliver the final momentum shift that breaks the Wehrmacht's armored backbone for good. April 10, 1945. Near the town of Dillingen, Germany. A gray dawn creeps over the tree line as Oberstleutnant Ernst Keller stands beside the charred skeleton of what used to be a Panzer IV. The smell of burned rubber still hangs in the air. His officers mill around him, whispering nervously, glancing up at the empty sky as if expecting death to glide overhead at any moment. Keller tightens his gloves and kicks a fragment of armor plating. The metal is dented, ruptured from a direct hit, but not from anything his men saw coming. No air raid sirens, no strafing fighters, no Stukas, no thunderbolts, just silence and then destruction. He turns to the artillery liaison team, their faces pale. "Explain it," he demands. They exchange looks, tired, sleepless, increasingly afraid. Finally, one steps forward. "Herr Oberstleutnant, we believe it was an American Artillerie-Beobachter aircraft." Keller's eyebrows draw together. "A what?" the soldier swallows. "A Piper, the small one, the one the men call Die Fliegende Nuss, the flying peanut." The group falls silent. Everyone had mocked it. Everyone. Keller remembers the first time he saw one, wobbling low over the treetops in Italy, barely faster than a truck, its canvas wings fluttering like laundry hung out to dry. His regiment laughed. What could such a fragile toy possibly do? But now, standing in front of a tank reduced to smoking rubble, he isn't laughing. He feels something icy slip down the back of his spine. Because if the Americans are using those planes here this deep into Germany, it means their artillery can now reach anywhere. It means no movement is safe. No convoy, no defensive line, no retreat. He turns to his aide. "How many tanks did we lose?" The young officer hesitates. "3, sir, in the last hour." "Without a single American ground unit in sight?" Keller whispers. The nod comes slowly, reluctantly. "As soon as we pull into the open, shells fall on us. Always within seconds, always accurate." Keller looks toward the forest, where faint sunlight begins filtering through the branches. For the first time, he notices the tree canopy differently, as cover. Protection from a pair of invisible eyes circling somewhere above. The men shift uneasily. One mutters that the Americans must have some new secret technology. Another wonders if the Piper pilots are using specialized optics or hidden beacons. But Keller has heard the rumors of American pilots who fly so low their wheels skim the wheat fields, of forward observers who memorize every bend in every row, of Grasshopper crews who call down death with the casual precision of men ordering breakfast. He suddenly understands something chilling. The Americans never needed armor superiority here. They didn't need more tanks. They had information delivered by a 2-seat airplane held together by faith, plywood, and engine noise. And that was enough. Keller turns to his officers. "We will stay under the trees, all vehicles, all movements, day or night." "But what about counter-fire?" one asks. Keller clenches his jaw. "We cannot shoot what we cannot see." Silence settles again, heavy, suffocating. Somewhere far above, faint as an insect's buzz, a small 4-cylinder engine drones lazily. The men freeze, heads tilt upward, every heartbeat accelerates. Keller closes his eyes. The mountain of German steel and doctrine, the pride of the Wehrmacht, is being stalked by something that looks like it belongs in a barnyard. A toy. A toy that sees them, a toy that marks them, a toy that kills them. "Into the woods," Keller orders quietly. "Now." But deep down, he knows the truth. This little American plane has changed the battlefield. It has humiliated their armor. It has shredded their confidence. And it will only get worse from here, because the grasshoppers aren't done hunting yet.